Today we're continuing in our study of the deadly sins, of capital sins, of these big sins that have kind of been highlighted and treated separately in the history of Christianity. And so today is number 7, and typically it's the 7 deadly sins, but we'll see how we feel about this number when we're done with the series tomorrow. Tomorrow. And today's deadly sin is vainglory. A modern synonym that's an okay synonym is vanity. And this is interesting because, spoiler alert, tomorrow's deadly sin will be pride or hubris. So vanity, which is what we're talking about today, is very close to pride, to hubris. So you can understand kind of why they get consolidated at some point in history. But vanity is the excessive belief in one's own abilities or attractiveness to others. But it also, along the way, kind of meant futility. Okay, so you're chasing after something that really doesn't have a lot of substance. So I think this is more closely tied to our building up of ourselves in very shallow ways, if that makes sense. So the passage that we're going to look at for today is Romans 12. It says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, acceptable, and perfect. You might say, well, that doesn't seem to talk about vanity. I think, here's the reason I'm bringing this out, is because at the core of vanity is us putting our emphasis, our focus, our time, our efforts into something that is ultimately shallow, that is not worth the time and the effort. So what this passage is doing is it's calling us to something deeper. It's calling us to present our bodies as a living sacrifice. So especially vanity comes in to outward appearances. It's an excessive belief in your own value to others, and it's futility. So things like spending all of your time kind of building up your physical appearance, making sure you look presentable. We're called to take care of our bodies, but that's not supposed to be our focus. Our focus is something deeper. Our focus is presenting ourselves as holy and acceptable to God, and having those deeper priorities. So when we talk about this 7th deadly sin of vanity, I think it gets caught up in having priorities in really shallow places. And we're called to something deeper than that. We're called to something more than that. Which is tough. It can be scary. Because if you're used to operating on a shallow level, then diving in deep is really intimidating. I mean, try to engage someone with a deep conversation. This is intimidating. This is a challenge, because it's much easier to talk about the weather, to talk about football, which for most people isn't a deep conversation, to talk about the clothes that someone's wearing. To say, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, it was a sale at this store or that store. Those are easy conversations to have. It's a lot harder to go up to someone and say, how's your week really been? How's your faith walk? How's your prayer life? How's your devotional? Like, those are hard conversations to have. Those are intimidating conversations to have, but we're called to those deeper conversations, those deeper considerations. So I guess that's the challenge from this sin to us today. So brothers and sisters, go in peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.